I'm Mike.
I'm Laura.
We are
Match Mead in Heaven.
And today, guys, we are going to show you how to build a jig using just some wood that we have some scraps from some shiplap where we've done some installs, and you can buy jigs to use for your pulls on your cabinets on installing. But we are going to show you how to save a few bucks. They must know me.
So this video is about how to make your own jig to install pulls or what's the other? Handles for your cabinets. I don't think he explained that very well.
Thanks for watching, guys, and give us some comments. So please subscribe. Let us know what you think about this video and if it's helpful to you. But everybody have a great day, and God bless.
Thank you.
Bye. This is the pull that Laura chose for the drawers and the cabinets. So we're just doing different installations. On the drawers were up, and then on the drawers were this direction, and then we're vertical on the drawers. So what I have done, we watched a couple videos, and what I've done is tried to modify on hybrid. So you can buy a jig for this. This would be a one-time purchase, and it's just going to sit. So I'm making my own jig. So what I'm doing is first I'm doing some measurements on my distance, of course, between the two screws. So I'm just doing that measurement real quick. So that was like 5 1/4. And then what we're doing is we're coming over to the cabinet itself or the drawer. So in this case, we're doing the drawer. So then I'm marking my center. Laura wanted the pull in the center here. So I'm marking the center of this, and there's a little mark here. And then we're marking the center up and down, of course, and we're putting marks there. And then I'm transposing that 5 1/4 mark over. And then I'm doing my first pull manually. So that takes time, and that's why you don't want to do all of them manually. So after that's done, then I'm doing my homemade jig. So what I've done is taken a piece of shiplap, just a scrap piece of shiplap.
Oops. And
then I've made smaller pieces. So in this case, what I've done is I put my smaller pieces, screwed them onto the top, and then I've marked the center of my width of my jig here. So now I've got a center piece here, and then what I'm hoping to do now that I've made manually my first pull is I'll be able to come from the back side and then hit this jig, and I'll be putting a center mark here on the top. I'll line that up with the center of my jig, and then I'll come through and mark, and then I'll be able to drill 2 holes here, and then I'll be able to take this to all the other drawers, in this case where Laura's wanting to pull in this configuration. So that looks like 1, 2, 3, 7 or 8 that I'll be able to do. So you can see the time savings that making this jig will benefit us. And then I'll have to get a larger piece of shiplap for a different drawer configuration. That's a bigger drawer where this is going to be down further. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing a manual install of the first pull, manual measurements, centering everything. And then I'm making a jig, and you can see that I've already made the jig once, and it was in this type configuration, and I made the jig for this type of an install. So I had a piece on the bottom, so every time I could line that up and snap it on, and then I did one install, and then we took this to all. You can see, Laura, show them all that we've done. So after we did the first one manually, then we took that jig over and did all of those cabinets. So now all I'm doing is I'm disassembling my jig and I'm reusing it now for my drawers. So this is the cheap way, in my opinion. You can purchase your own jig or you can make your own jig, and we've preferred to make ours in this case. So now what we'll do is we'll show you how to transpose the mark over to this jig. Before I drill into my jig, I've got to get the center of this drawer, so I'm just going to get a quick center. So we're 29.5, so that's going to be 14 3/4. So now that I've got the center marked on the top, I can line the center. I've marked the jig, the center of my jig. So the center of the jig now is hitting the center of, and then I've got my connections here. So now, if I just use a grip, is that what that's called?
Yes, a clamp.
A clamp. And I push down, and I stay in the center. Now I'll be able to come through that I've already done my manual and mark on here, and then I'll take this off and drill through it, and then I'll have my jig ready for the next drawer.
So just to be clear, those holes that are on there right now, those are not what we're using for the drawers. That's what we used for the doors.
Those are already
So don't
used
get
up here.
confused by
I'm just
those.
reusing my scrap wood and reusing the jig, disassembling these top sections and reconfiguring it
Yes.
for the type of pull that we're putting on. This bit is much smaller than what is necessary, but since I'm transposing my marks over, I'm going to use a small bit, hit the center, and then take my jig off and drill with the proper size bit. And I don't need to drill all the way through either. All I need to do is just get a little mark so I can take the jig off. So you can see my smaller bit, my smaller holes here. And now I can take that and go outside and drill with the larger bit. And you can see the larger bit's going to end up being this size. All right, Laura's going to finish this up. This is pretty easy part here. You can see in this case, these Shenandoahs, that's a large screw. So the screw that came with the pulls, we had to find a larger one, and it was metric, and that took a little, that's a different story. But Laura's got it on now. So now that we've done this one manually and centered it, which took a while, and we've built our jig, now we're ready to go do one with the jig. The jig has been built, so these are the new holes for this width. Is that the width of, or is this the width?
That's the width, that's the height.
The height. The height of this cabinet or drawer configuration. This jig now should work once you mark the center, and now I can drill in, and I should be in the center of that configuration. So what's cool is, since this is height based, it'll also work on this width of drawer, because as you can see, this width of drawer is going to be the same height. Now obviously, I'm going to have to redo my jig when I get to this height of drawer. And I'll just get a larger piece of shiplap and repeat the same thing. Larger piece of shiplap that will extend down to this height. And then I'll do my first one manually, the old-fashioned way with West Virginia math. And then I'll take my larger piece of shiplap, take these little pieces off, screw them back on, and then I'll rebank my jig and put some more holes in that larger piece of scrap wood that we're using. So Hope this helps. Laura said that we should add, with our pulls that she purchased from Hobby Lobby, they came with these metrics here that worked perfect for the cabinets in the length. They worked perfect. But when you take that down to the drawers from Shenandoah, there's this extra piece of wood here for strength. And those aren't going to work. So it took us a while. And we could not find the break-offs that would work, but we did find the screw at Lowe's after a while, and this new length works first. So we did have to do that additionally, which took some time. If you take your existing with you to Lowe's, they have a unit that you can try and you can determine if this is metric or not on your threads. This drawer width was 11 3/4 was our mark. Laura's marked the center on the top here. Again, I've got the center on this scrap. So I line up those two centers there, push down, and I am ready to connect my jig clamp, my jig with my clamp, and now I'm ready to screw into my holes.
So here's the finished product of using that template or that jig that Michael made. So it fit, let's see, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 drawers. And we have 8 more to go, and they're the thicker ones. So we have to rebuild our jig.
Thanks for watching. By the way,
Don't forget to check out our merchandise on Teespring.
appreciate your support. Have a great day. So 14 3/4.
We're doing this on camera.
I talked myself into that. 14. Tell me if my math's wrong. I'll tell you how I'll check my math here in a moment. If I can mark this.
I can't hold it and video. Sorry.
Balance being here. You can stop.
Sorry.
You done?
I think so.
I'm Mike.